Today's video is brought to you by Assiniboia Downs Gaming and Event Center. And be sure to tune in to Trust the Profits Live Mondays at 8 p.m. Eastern for Monday Night Lights, hosted by Matthew DeSantis.
Salutations and welcome, friends. I'm your host of this Belmont Stakes Spotlight Series. My name is Matthew DeSantis. You can find me on Twitter at the handle @FailedToMenace. Well, thank you so much for tuning into this Belmont Spotlight Series. We are going to be taking a look at the Peter Pan winner, ARCANGELO, on this episode. But before we get to that, just a quick reminder, make sure to press that subscribe button here on YouTube to get all of our great content on Trust the Profits, whether you're into handicapping, horse racing news, live betting, domestic, international racing. We got you covered here on Trust the Profits, and we're thrilled with our partnership with the Assiniboia Downs as well. Those Monday night live stream sessions at 8 p.m. Eastern, always a lot of fun. So if you enjoy playing a little bit of a different track, make sure to tune in on Monday nights. We have a lot of fun with it there, and I think you will too if you give it a shot. Additionally, make sure to like this video and comment below with what chances do you give a horse that just kind of has exploded onto the scene recently, ARCANGELO, for Jena Antonucci. Let us know, because this is a horse, I'll be honest, folks, I'm going to tip my hand right now, I like a lot. I like this horse quite a bit, and I'll be interested to see what price we can get on the horse ARCANGELO in this year's Belmont Stakes. But let's talk a little bit about ARCANGELO. And this is a horse that has, like I said, kind of really broken onto the scene. That Peter Pan victory, grade 3 Peter Pan at Belmont, going a mile and an eighth. That was an impressive victory because this was a horse that was 10-1 on the morning line. Now, I did a capping the card that day for that day at the Belmont, and I had mentioned ARCANGELO. I said, I like this horse. I said, I'm not sure he's my value play, but I really like this horse. And I didn't realize how much the public agreed with me because I thought you were going to get 8. I thought you were going to get 8-1, 5-1, maybe. He ended up going off at 5-2, and as the second choice to only the morning line favorite, Brad Cox's Bishop's Bay. And those two put on a show. That was one of the more thrilling renditions of the Peter Pan. I think those two putting on an absolute clinic in the stretch duel, pulling well away from the rest of the field. And it was ARCANGELO and Bishop's Bay going back and forth. ARCANGELO ultimately just making up some ground those last few strides in the last 50 yards to defeat Bishop's Bay. So impressive was that victory for ARCANGELO. And I know he gained a lot of fans, this one included. But let's talk a little bit more about this horse that, like I said, a lot of people don't know much about, has not been on the Derby trail at all, took a while to break his maiden, is, for a barn that is not a big-time barn in terms of Jena Antonucci. And so let's talk a little bit more about this horse. So let's start up top with the pedigree. My God, can it get much better? Arrogate up top, Damn by Tappet underneath. I mean, this horse should want to run for days. The crazy thing about the Arrogate pedigree up top is if you look at how Arrogate progeny have done at 1.25 miles or more, what is considered marathon distance, 1.25 miles or more, only 4% winning, very low. The average is around 10%, so much lower than the average. However, the average winning distance of an Arrogate progeny is a stunning 7.7 furlongs. That is a full extra. Just to make this a point of comparison, Violence, who is the sire of Forte, the average winning distance of a Violence progeny, 6.6 furlongs. So you're looking at a whole extra furlong on average distance difference between the progeny of Violence and obviously Forte in the Belmont and Arrogate with ARCANGELO. So even though they've not won a lot at that 1.25 miles plus, they have demonstrated consistently the ability to win routing and going long. Now you have the Damn by Tappet underneath. This horse, again, should want to run for days. And that's what you see a little bit in the pedigree in past performances. As this horse has been continued to stretch out, this horse has run better and better and better. You got Javier Castellano aboard. Javi obviously on a high after winning the Kentucky Derby with Mage. Mage not going to be running in the Belmont, obviously, because of that loss in the Preakness. And so he's going to be on Arcangelo. I think that's a good thing that Javier's got that ability, knows New York very well, knows the track, Belmont very well, knows when to move those horses. That's another thing. Those big sweeping turns at Belmont. When do you move a horse? Knowing when to properly move a horse. How many times have we seen a horse move a little too soon at the Belmont Stakes and then get tired and get caught coming down the track and coming down the home stretch? You got to know when to move your horse, and knowing, having a jockey who's a New York-based jockey who knows that surface, knows that track, I think is extremely beneficial. But listen, in terms of what Arcangelo has done on the track, it is limited. There's no doubt about it. This is a massive step up in class. Starts out with a couple of maiden special weight efforts at Gulfstream Park. Doesn't run poorly, but doesn't really show too much else. Takes a little bit of time off, goes to the bench for about 2 months, comes back and runs a huge race. And every speed figure that you look at, whether it's Equibase that we have here or Bayer or Brisnet, they all show this progression. 73 in the case of Equibase, 73, 80 to 97. This horse kept getting better, kept going a little bit longer. And again, that break between January and March, I think did the horse well in terms of letting that horse continue to mature. Jena Antonucci, I cannot say enough about her as a trainer. She is somebody who started her career in kind of aftercare and breeding. She is someone who very much so cares about the life cycle of a horse and is always going to do right by the horse, and has been very clear that she is going to let Arcangelo dictate where they end up going, that she is going to let the horse tell her how this horse feels. They decide to take a little bit of a shot in the Peter Pan, again, off of about close to a 2-month layoff. And my God, did Arcangelo run a huge race that day. Now, came back with the same speed figure in Equibase 97, like he did in the maiden special weight effort. But what was so impressive to me about Arcangelo was coming down the stretch, battling Bishop's Bay and not giving in. Bishop's Bay pulling ahead on the inside, Arcangelo fighting back on the outside and getting by Bishop's Bay. Very impressive to see a young horse, untested at that level, get the win in a big grade 3. The Peter Pan is regularly a launching spot for potential Belmont winners. 2 of the last 9 Belmont winners have come out of those Peter Pan stakes. So it's not an unusual route for some of these horses to take. Horses that may have just matured a little bit late in that 3-year-old crop who aren't on the Derby trail end up going to the Peter Pan and end up now coming to the Belmont Stakes. So there's a lot to like here in terms of Arcangelo. I'm a big fan of this horse. And the other thing is Jena Antonucci showed some video, I remember 2 or 3 days after the Peter Pan Stakes. And what was so noteworthy was that she showed Arcangelo in a little bit of a pen. And Arcangelo was bucking and frisky and just jumping around and acting like a goofball, which what thoroughbreds are. That's the good version of thoroughbreds are goofballs. The bad versions, they're out of their mind. But they, act like a goof, but just so fresh and so clearly bounced back from the Peter Pan already. I mean, that was 24, 48 hours after the race, and he looked like he could run another lap around Belmont, no problem. I mean, he looked fresh. And again, he's a young horse. He doesn't have a lot of miles on his legs. Some of these other horses that have been running through that rigorous Kentucky Derby prep season, running 1 or 2 legs of the Triple Crown, and now coming to the Belmont, these are horses that have a lot of miles on them. This is a young ascending horse. Anybody who watches my handicapping shows know I love young ascending horses taking a step up in class because you can usually get a price. And I think that's the key with Arcangelo is what price do you end up getting on this horse? I don't think he's going to get bet down the way he did at the Peter Pan from 10 to 1 to 5 to 2. I think he's going to be a little bit more of a price, and he's going to have a lot of other horses competing with him for money at the windows. I think, obviously, Forte, National Treasure, Tappa Trice are all going to take a lot of money. I think Red Route 1 is a fan favorite that's going to take a fair amount of money as well, and that's a horse that everybody, from the first time they saw him close like he did at the Southwest, they said, oh, he's a Belmont horse. We'll see. We'll talk about Red Route 1 a little bit later in the Spotlight Series, but I'm very, very intrigued to see what sort of price you'll get on Arcangelo, and I'll be honest, I'm probably going to end up using him as a win bet and use him in some capacity. I'm going to probably throw a little bit of a separate win bet on him because I think I'm going to get a really good price on Arcangelo, and he's a horse I absolutely am including in my exotics. And I don't know if I'm going to key him necessarily, but I'm going to be using him in exactas and certainly in trifectas, but definitely in exactas as well. I'm very high on this horse. I think there's a lot of talent there. I love the pedigree. I love the guts and the resilience that Arcangelo showed. He also can sit a useful trip. I think he'll be able to sit mid-pack or maybe a little bit closer because there's not a lot of pace. So I think he's got, Javier's got some versatility there. He's a horse that can get out of the gate pretty well. He broke from the inside rail in that Peter Pan. So I think there's a lot of good things going on here with Arcangelo, and that's why I'm quite high on him in this year's Belmont Stakes. Well, listen, folks, that's going to do it for this episode on the Belmont Spotlight series. Make sure to subscribe to Trust the Profits, like the video, and comment below with what are your takeaways on Arcangelo. Do you think I'm crazy for liking this horse as much as I do? Are you playing against him? Are you playing with him? What are you doing? Let us know. I'd love to hear it in the comments. Until next time, friends, my name is Matthew DeSantis, wishing you a great and profitable day at the races and reminding you that it's now post time.